Friends, as Jesus began his earthly ministry, crowds followed him. Many were impressed by the simplicity of his lifestyle, his graciousness, and his kindness to the sick and the poor drew people to follow him. His humility in dealing with the socially despised, the outcasts of society, such as tax collectors and adulterers, was unique. The crowds saw how Jesus cared deeply for those whom religious leaders despised. In Jesus' time, scribes were the religious leaders who copied the Old Testament texts and made them available to the people. They made interpretations of the Old Testament scriptures in ways which laid down a multitude of burdensome religious rules for their hearers to obey. Friends, Jesus taught the crowd very differently. In the Sermon on the Mount, he taught them to live the way that he himself lived. Jesus was not teaching a list of do's and don'ts. Rather, he taught the people God's true desire for them as his special creatures made in his own very image. Jesus called people to realize that the will of God for them is a fulfilling pure liberation from enslaving religious, ethnic, and social dictates. The crowd saw that God's will for them is to live lives of holiness, forgiveness, and self-giving love. Jesus did not present theories, rather, he proclaimed heavenly truths. He spoke as the supreme Rabbi, the divine Messiah King. He joined our humanity to establish the abiding universal kingdom promised to David. People were amazed as they realized the inspiring nature of his Sermon on the Mount. The Gospel of Matthew records for us in the 7th chapter the people's response to Jesus' teaching. It says, "And when Jesus finished these sayings, the crowds were astonished at his teaching, for he was teaching them as one who had authority and not as their scribes." Hallelujah.